Hey y'all, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm here with the review of the latest episode of The Flash, which was called The Trial of the Flash, and it is episode 10. Wow. Things just got real. Things got real in the Flashverse. I think the realest we've ever had it on this show as far as consequences and repercussions. But I like it. Like the Flash has always been very comical in a lot of ways, in the way they kind of keep everything kind of light and shiny and sparkly. Like even the lighting for the show is always very bright and happy, and the tones are always quite, they're quite mild comparatively to, say, Arrow. But this season has definitely brought the adult to the show, and I'm not mad at it. I mean, I don't want the Flash to become a dark show, because we already have that in Arrow. Like, we already have the dark themes, the angst and all the sadness. I want the Flash to be the happier show, the one that's a little bit more for the kids and a little bit more for the lighthearted fare. But I'm okay with them adulting it just a little bit, because Barry is a grown man, right? He's a grown man. He's married now. We know that he's not a virgin. Like, we need to just kind of adult everything up just a little. And I think the show's done a great job of kind of helping to get to that logical progression, but it's still somewhat we still have the comedy moments, and we still have the quick wit, and hopefully sometime maybe later in the season we'll have a little bit more of that lightheartedness come back, because I really enjoyed it in the beginning of the season. I know people had mixed feelings about it. I know some people were all like, it's too jokey, it's too comical. I liked it because, again, Barry Allen is that guy. He's the quick wit, he's the smart mouth, he's the light, shiny kind of golly gosh gee whiz kind of character. That's kind of why people liked his character. Like I said, there already are the dark people in the DC verse, like Batman and Arrow and all that kind of stuff, to be broody. Some people gotta be happy some of the time, and Barry was one of those people. So I do hope that we're not gonna have the whole second half of the season being so sad, especially after last season, with that whole looming horrible prophecy about Iris dying being kind of this dark cloud over this season. I don't want to have that again this season, but obviously it's not going to be great, right? It's not going to be great. But the good news is, even with Barry being out of the picture for a while, we know that Team Flash can somewhat operate without him. They've done it for 6 months before he got out of the Speed Force, so it's not like the city will fall apart. And it's really good that, Caitlin is back with the team, and she seems to be almost in control of her Killer Frost powers, and Cisco's abilities have gotten a lot better. There is going to be at least some semblance of teamwork, but they said at the beginning of the season, and it's going to be true even now, Barry's the heart of the team, and him not being there is definitely going to have an impact, especially knowing that he's in prison as a cop, a former cop. We all know in the real world what happens when real cops go to prison, right? Like, it's not a good ride for them. There's a lot of people in that jail who Barry helped to personally put in jail. So it's not going to be an easy time, and we're going to have to see how it goes with Barry trying to keep his powers under wraps while in jail, because if anyone finds out he's the Flash in there, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. And you do not want, of all people that you don't want to find out you're the Flash, a whole jail full of criminals is definitely top of the list, right? So a couple of things. I didn't write down a lot in this episode because I really was very invested in it and loving it. Can we just talk about how awesome it was where Barry took Iris like into the Speed Force, it looked like? That's new. I mean, obviously, it wasn't like the big, shiny Speed Force we've seen in previous seasons, but it's the only thing I can think of for taking Iris someplace where she was moving as fast as Barry was moving so that people around them couldn't, like, keep track. I have to think that there's some form of the Speed Force or something like that that Barry somehow created and brought Iris into. Like, how... That was awesome. That was so great. I love how this show does that, where they take little things about Barry's abilities and they just kind of give us these little, oh, and guess what? Barry can do this. And oh, guess what? Barry can do that. And that's one of the fun things about them not having Barry have all of his abilities in season 1. he's slowly but surely growing and getting better at his abilities. And like, again, I said this, I think in episode 1 or 2, he was in the Speed Force for 6 months, which in Speed Force time could have been like 100 years. If you're telling me Barry did not come out with some more tricks and some more things after all that, I would have been mad. So that was cool. It was brief, but I thought that's pretty sweet. That's like their own little like movable honeymoon suite that they can have going forward. But also, if he can figure out how to harness that, that'll also be a way for him to kind of maybe get a little respite while he's in prison without anybody knowing. But that kind of, sorry, I want to go back to the prison for a second, because that man, that delicious black man there who told Barry to get comfortable, he was also there when well, alrighty then. That particular police officer was there when they incarcerated, I cannot remember his name, but he was the hacker. And so I remember the cameras took a while and lingered on his face after Barry and everybody made sure that he was safely locked away. So I have to think that maybe this man might know that Barry is the Flash. He seemed to have an inordinate interest in them, and I'm going to get through this. And I don't know if it's because Devoe tipped him off, or if it's because, like, maybe, I mean, I know in the comics, like, Amanda Waller is like a thing. She knows a lot about metas and things like that, but, and I think I heard from somebody that Amanda Waller might make an appearance in this show, but I don't know if that's true. But I'm just wondering if maybe it's all part of kind of a subplot that they're going to start in The Flash potentially. But I just want to know why this guy keeps popping up, because it's twice now, so it's not an accident. There's a reason they brought him in there, and I'm curious as to what it is. But I have a feeling he's going to be keeping either an eye out for or an eye on Barry, and an inordinate one on Barry, because like I said, we've seen him close up a couple of times now. So I'm really interested into as far as who his character is and what he is to this story. But yeah, that whole thing with Barry and the Speed Force for a minute with Iris in the courtroom was great. All the Barry and Iris, oh, the West Allen scenes. My heart will go on. I'll spare you. I'm a Canadian. I listened to so much Celine growing up. It wasn't even my choice. Their scenes were adorable. It's so sad. Like, I thought it was so cute that Iris was like, I heard the first year is supposed to be rough, but come on. Right, these two have not had a break since they got together officially, and look, I'm okay with it. And the only reason I am is that, of course, I want my babies to be together. I love seeing Barry and Iris together and being all schmoopy and having their moments, but I'm okay with them having this action and doing things like this, because one of the biggest arguments that a lot of shows have for not putting OTPs together is because they're like, oh, once they get together, they'll be boring. No one's gonna want to watch a happy couple every week. But you can still have a couple be together and love each other and be happy at times, but give them angst. And I think I said this back in season, well, I wasn't doing reactions then, but way back in season 1 or 2, I would always say to my friends and stuff, I'm like, there's no reason that they can't put Barry and Iris together now, because being married to a superhero is not easy, right? There's so much drama that comes with dating somebody who's got an alter ego as a vigilante. And you know, talk to Felicity, talk to Lois Lane, you know, talk to anybody who's ever been associated with a superhero persona. It's not easy. So, sorry. So I'm really glad that the show is embracing that that it's not going to be an easy road for these two, and that they can still have these beautiful moments where they're trying to be strong for each other and they love each other so much, but you know, they're still dealing with the fact that there are consequences to Barry's life, and just the fact that he's chosen to insert himself into doling out justice to those who are breaking the law with his superpowers. Like, I feel like this is going to open some really interesting doors for Iris's character, as far as, you know, I don't think that was a throwaway line with Mrs. Devoe saying, you know, I'm doing whatever I have to for my husband. What are you willing to do? Like, that was a gauntlet thrown. That was a glove slap and dropped in front of her, right? Like, what are you going to do? Like, she's like, I'm ready to ride or die for my man. What are you willing to do? And these are both women who love their husbands intensely. So I think it'd be a really interesting angle if they showed Iris really kind of not just taking over Team Flash, because we know she can do that, but to see what she's willing to do. Like, I feel like Iris is going to be very key in turning this whole thing around, because even though, of course, you know, Miss Devoe gives a very, you know, bitchy, you know, boss vibe when she's out in public, we saw it in the beginning that Clifford can read her mind, which, how annoying is that? Who could be married to a mind reader? That'd be so annoying. But digressing, he knows that she's not comfortable with the situation. You know, she thought it was a good idea on paper, you know, as it goes. In theory, it seemed great, but now as it's evolving and she's seeing the toll that it's taking, she really is starting to, you can see it's bothering her. Clifford is bothering her, and I think what's really bothering her the most is that she's realizing that her husband is changing, and not necessarily for the better. And so, anyway, I think that Iris is going to be instrumental in helping her to see that this path is not the right one. That even though it sucks for her to have to lose Clifford because of that experiment gone wrong and his mutation killing him, it's not right for him to destroy everybody else's life and to force what he considers to be an enlightenment onto everyone. I don't even know what the enlightenment is. We still don't even know what this plan is, but the point is, I think what really is going to affect Mrs. Devoe is her relationship with the man that she fell in love with, and how that man is changing and potentially disappearing altogether. And it just started with his physical appearance, but I think she's realizing that as a person, Clifford's not the same guy anymore, and it's going to just get worse as time goes on. So I think her and Iris are going to have a lot of parallels this season, and I think that'll be really cool, because I mentioned in the first episode where we really got to see the Devoes together that West Allen and Devoe's are very, very, like, they're like two sides of the same coin, just that one of them is a little bit older. They've been through a little bit more. They're just at a different stage in their relationship, but they still have that intense bond, that intense love for each other. And what are you willing to do in order to maintain that? That's really the big question that these two ladies are going to be facing. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out, and I hope that the writers don't miss this opportunity to develop Iris's character using what's going on with Barry, but for her. Like, I don't want it to be all about Barry, but I want this to be something that will help, you know, give Iris a stepping stone into coming more into her own as a character and getting stronger as a female character on this show. Because girlfriend deserves it, right? She's so boss. I love her so much. She was so good in this episode. It was a good episode. I really, like I said, I really kind of like the overtones and the writing in this episode. I thought was really nice and really deep. I love the little parallel that we had with Captain Singh talking about the kind of man the Flash is versus the judge's perception of what he thinks Barry is. Anytime that writing is smart like that and helps to show two sides of a story, I think it's really smart. And it just kind of, again, it's kind of a much more mature theme to take with the Flash, and I really enjoyed that they did that. So I am looking forward to the remainder of this season, seeing how this is all going to play out. I mean, this show is called The Flash. We can't have The Flash locked up for the entire second half, so I don't think this sentence is going to stick for very long. But how and what's going to go down, I really couldn't even begin to tell you. I really don't know where we're going to go from here, but I'm here for it. I'm strapped in for the ride. I need Barry to get out of jail, and I need Devoe to just really just get sent back to whatever hell dimension he came from. That's all I'm asking. I don't think it's a lot show, with a little side of West Allen actually having a proper honeymoon. And I feel like, just a little prediction out there, that Iris is going to find out that she's pregnant while Barry's in jail. I don't know why, but I just feel like that's a thing. Babies and diapers has been a theme, you know, we all, sorry, side note, love the fact that they didn't linger with the whole thing with Cisco and Harry figuring out that Barry's babblings from when he first came out of the Speed Force are actually prophetic. I'm glad that we didn't have to have them bumble around with that for 4 or 5 episodes. So, hopefully they will jump on that and we'll get some more details as the season goes on about what's coming up. But yes, I think we're going to have baby news, and I think we're going to have it sooner than later, because why not? Everything else is happening this year for West Allen. Why not throw the babies in? Let's just do it. So guys, what did you think of this episode? Do you feel like this is worth the wait? Do we feel like we've set the tone for a really kick-ass season? Or do you think, well, you know, I expected a little bit more? And also, how do you feel the trial went? Do you think that the show did enough for having the trial seem believable? Or did it feel kind of like a lazy way to just get Barry into a certain place for a certain time? Please leave your comments below. You know I love to read those things and get involved in the conversation with y'all. I don't know why I'm yelling at you. If you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.